Hi, my name is Eunice and I'm going to be teaching you about the Korean War. So, table of contents, we're going to be going over what led to the Korean War, the events during the Korean War, and finally how it impacted the people later on. It started at 1910, where Japan ruled over Korea during the World War II. And when World War II ended, they gave up Korea, which was separated into two countries according to the 38th parallel. After some time passed in the Chinese Civil War, it led to the Communist China to support North Korea with military forces. Later, army defectors and North Korean agents started attacking each other more increasingly in the mountain areas along the border. But the first attempt started when North Korean soldiers started invading South Korean borders and took over the capital of South Korea. After this event, in 1950, the U.S. decided to join with South Koreans to fight against North Korean soldiers that had already conquered their capital. It's important to know that South Koreans were given to the U.S. and North Korea was given to Soviet Union. South Korea was on the bottom side and North Korea was on the upper hand side. North Korea was encouraged by China and the Soviet Union to conquer over South Korea by invading over the 38th parallel border. And in 1951, President Truman of the U.S. started peace talks, but it took over 2 years to negotiate, and it didn't end as a peace treaty, but rather as just stopping war. So the factors that led to the Korean War, what caused North Koreans to invade over South Korea? The spread of communism and the Cold War. Since North Koreans were given permission to invade through Stalin's order, who wanted to unify both countries as a communist-controlled nation, it caused the U.S. to fight back, and they believed that they should be separated into two because the Republican Party and the Communist Party was way too different from each other. Due to separate beliefs, the Soviet Union and U.S. were often trying to gain control over each other, leading to a huge war. During the war, these are four of the most important events that happened. On September 15, MacArthur, who was the general controlling over U.S. during that time, landed his forces at Icheon, which was at the upper location of South Korea, in order to push their way out of the bottom Busan perimeter. Then in October 1950, the UN forces had the largest sea blocking, and it led to them having advantage during the war. Then in December 11, 1950, the Chinese army and the Americans fought in one of the coldest weathers, which was negative 35 Fahrenheit. It led to many people dying and caused the U.S. to have a higher win. Then in December 24th, there was the greatest sea movement evacuation in U.S. history. The four countries involved in the war was China, who provided high-quality weapons to North Korea during the war. U.S. provided military forces to back up South Korea. And of course, the two sides of Korea, North Korea and South Korea. So how did the disaster affect the people in the war? We're going to go over the characteristics of the Korean War. So in casualties, There was 5 million people who died in total, including citizens, and 3 million war fatalities. Starvation was a huge point in Korean War due to North Korea having a failing economic system, and it caused to many of them dying. Both sides of Korea were using tanks such as M26 and M46. And since World War One, the Korean War had the most aircraft combat in the world, and Americans had benefits in aerial warfare. So next, we're going to be talking about the war crimes that happened during the Korean War. 1 million South Korean citizens have died due to bombings of combat operations on both sides. So even South Korean soldiers were given orders to bomb in South Korean territory. The prisoners of war, many of the American soldiers were still in North Korea and were reported as unfound. And Korean prisoners of war had often been denied of food and water and endured harsh beatings. Some of them included burning cigarettes onto the skin of the people. Many died in communist torture, execution, and mistreatment. Thank you for watching, and we'll learn about the ending of the Korean War later. Thank you.